Fuck you too.
Welcome to The Ride with Chevy and Nasty. Host Randy Chevrier and Sheldon Napastia guide you through great stories that spark great conversations. Two really big guys talking a big game. The boys are locked in and ready to go. Welcome to The Ride.
And welcome to The Ride, everybody. Our special April 1st, April Fool's Day edition. Is that the bigger thing, or is it the episode 69 that we've finally hit that made us all in our teens just kind of laugh? Regardless, we're here and we are a little bit late. Yeah, one of us might have been running behind a little bit tonight, but as always,
I don't think we were late. We weren't late. We were right on time. Just Trey said, let's push it back 5 minutes. We don't need to push it back 5 minutes. Why do we push it back 5 minutes? When I call you, I'm like, I'm not. I don't say, oh shoot, I better call Sheldon in 5 minutes. I'm not ready to talk to him. I'm always ready to talk to you, man. It's Tuesday night.
Who is your coach again? When you're with the Jaguars, went on. To
Tom Coughlin.
Coughlin. So he would have been cool if you started showed up 3 minutes late. Somebody calls you late, you just be like, "No, coach, it's good. It's good. I'm here. Let's get going."
No, but when kickoff starts, and I was right. You can't leave before the ball snap.
Yeah,
if you're there, right when the ball snapped, you're on time. And I think that Trey decided that he thought I was going to be late. But you know what? No, it is Tuesday night. Performance Freight Management, We Drone Real Estate Media, and YYC Business take care of us every week. And it is. Sheldon, you mentioned it. What's the bigger deal for you? Episode 69 or April Fools?
I've been waiting for episode 69 for the time I was like 12 years old, man. Remember back in the day, that was just like the funniest thing. 69, dude. It was the first dirty thing that you kind of figured out that you could get away with saying. It was always kind of funny. You know what I mean?
It was always funny. It's always funny. Even like, when I had kids, my kids thought it was funny, and they don't even know why they thought it was funny like early on. And I'm sure now they know because, I have an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old, but when they were like younger, because everyone's like, oh, 69, no one really told them what it is. They just thought, oh, 69, it just became a thing, right? We're silly boys, but that's the way it is. But speaking of 69s, there's been some great 69s, and we're talking about athletes here, guys we played with. There's a couple up there. Who you got?
Top corner, Minnesota Vikings. That's UFC
Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, that's Brock Lesnar. I don't think he wore 69 for very long with the Minnesota Vikings.
Training camp. You notice how 69, when you're playing, do you notice how, like in high school, it was always the clown that wanted to go for 69 if your high school had it.
Yeah.
And then as you advance, it just becomes the meatheads. It became the number of the meathead, almost to the point, and tell me if I'm being too harsh on it here, almost to the point where, you'd never consider wearing it because you're just trying to stand out too much, like wearing 00 in the CFL. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It takes a special guy to wear 69.
Well, yeah, but you know what? Like when you're a lineman, because in football especially, they have numbers that are assigned to position. You only have certain number of numbers you can wear as a lineman. You can wear numbers in the 50s and the 60s. So your options are limited. If you go to a team where a couple of numbers are retired or used by someone else, and let's say you have I don't know, you have a thing with numbers, and the number 9 is something that's important to you, having a 9 in your jersey or a 6, either or.
Yeah.
and all the other numbers are taken. You might like for me, it's 6. I need a 6 in my jersey. So I wore 56,
76.
That's why we're
60.
60. Yes, I'm a big thing for 6s, right? Like my birthday was June 6, 1976. So 06, 6, 7, 6. So that's big for me. I needed a number with a 6 in it. So I can get it if someone does it. But again, in football, lots of linemen wear it. There you see Jared Allen at the bottom had
I forgot he wore. I actually forgot he wore 69. What was he doing wearing a number in the 60s anyway? Like, but
yeah, and
he was a meathead too. He's just like one of the most amazing players on the planet.
Absolutely. One of my former coaches, Tim Crumry, with the Cincinnati Bengals. He was my coach in Cincinnati, defensive line coach. He was that guy that played in the Super Bowl when the Bengals lost, and he broke his leg in like 7 places and finished the game. Just the most like hardcore guy. I actually have a great story about Tim Crumry when I went for my workout with the Bengals, but I'll save for another time. But he is one of the most hardcore dudes out there. If you ever look up Tim Crumry, pretty respected defensive lineman in the NFL in the 80s, and then went on to be a coach. But one of my favorite guys was a teammate of mine. There's some other guys up there, but right in the middle there, the tiny little picture of the guy holding the Grey Cup, that's Brett Jones. Was my teammate for 2 years with the Calgary Stampeders, pride of Weyburn, Saskatchewan. University Regina Rams. He was a first overall draft pick by the Stamps. Played with us for 2 years. Great center. Remember we talked about the last few years because we're in the 50s and 60s. We talked about some of those great smaller quick centers. The Jamie Crysdales. We talked about the Godfrey Ellises last week. We talked about Laz, who was one of those bigger guys. Brett Jones was one of those tweeners. Smaller guy, but almost as wide as he was tall, strong, fast, and smart. Very, very smart guy. In fact, he left the Stampeders, went to the NFL for a bunch of years. I believe he played in like 43 NFL games. Played with the.
Did he? I didn't know that. He was in the NFL.
Played with the Broncos. All after his career with the Stamps, and then now he's back in Regina. He's at the University of Regina. He's in med school. And he's also on the Regina Rams coaching staff. So a nice, well-rounded guy, great career, and a funny guy. Comedy night, a charity night at Yuck Yucks one night, and the opener was Brett Jones roasting the entire team, and it was like it had us rolling. He's a great guy, and it's nice to see that his long career. Yeah, super cool guy. Guy.
Andrew Carter there on the left too, or up the kind of middle right there. I played with him. Tall guy. Wasn't Andrew Carter? Do you ever play against him? Wasn't he like 6'8" or 6'7" or something like that? Or
I think he was like 6'10". I played against him when he was at Bishops and I was at McGill. He was like I think he was like legitimately 6'10", like 6'8". I've seen. Andrew Carter was a huge guy, like tall, skinny lineman, like almost looked more like a basketball player than a tackle, but. Huge dude. I remember him from my days in the Quebec conference. Who's Glad at the bottom? I don't know who that is. Trey's gonna have to fill me in. Trey puts all these pictures. Tries to and the bald guy. The bald guy at the top is Fabio Felice. That's I guess the only. I was like, who's that bald guy? Fabio Felice, 69, was a teammate of mine. Claim to fame. Fabs the week of the Grey Cup in 2008 blows his Achilles. And yours truly becomes the 7th O-lineman. And I was like, well, I guess I'll do it. And then I never went back to D-line for the rest of my career. So thanks, Fabs. So yeah, like a bunch of 69s. But let's get off the 69 train for a little bit. And let's get into it's not really how we kick off the show. It's how we change gears in the first segment with some 300-pound poetry because it's time. So Trey, hit us.
And now, 300-pound poetry with Chevy and Nasty.
Poets, we rhyme with ease, but we're still everyday Joes. Sometimes we even fart when we sneeze.
Newly minted bats to go with the pinstripe hats. The Yankees making history because their sticks are fat.
We know who's the GOAT, but who's next is the real debate. Is it Sid the Kid, or will it be Alexander the Great?
We got plenty of sports to talk on this Tuesday night. There is some hockey disrespect, and there's even a basketball fight.
We are on episode 69, a number made famous by Bill and Ted. Keanu Reeves eventually went on to stardom, and for a while I thought the other guy was dead.
It's an April 1st edition, so let us be your fools. The ride with Chevy and Nasty, we make big splashes in pools.
Yeah, we sure do. Now, apparently Trey's texting me that my mic
It's horrible,
sound is
dude.
terrible. I don't know what is going on. Like Trey,
Well, we don't have to.
You're the
You should
producer.
We'll acknowledge it once for our live viewers, but you know how it does the upload thing. It's going to get your full signal. Like if you're listening tomorrow on Spotify,
I don't know
Apple,
what's
Google,
going
wherever
on
you
here.
find
Is
your
it my
podcast.
internet? Is it my mic?
Yeah, could be. You know, we could.
This is where the dad in me starts getting mad. What's that?
We could always go to break early and give you like that 3 minutes to go yell at your kids and get everybody off of the internet. You know what I know is happening though? You're a social guy. You probably know everybody in your complex. You've had them over. Hey, I got like serving pasta night. You have lasagna night. Everybody comes over and they've got now your internet password.
No, nobody has.
Everybody on the block is, dude. If you're the kind of guy that takes your shoes off on flights and you know, he's just one of those guys that you kind of do go it your own way. I have no doubt that everybody in your complex has your internet password, and that's what's killing you tonight.
If I take my shoes off on flights, probably people aren't coming over to my house. What do you think? Like, I don't know.
I think Cozy, you should get your technical stuff dealt with. See, we're getting called out in the comments now. Come on, Cozy.
What's happening? Come on, boys.
You get your technical stuff dealt with, dude.
Yeah. We got a producer. Trey, come and fix my mic. Come to my house and fix my stuff. I'm busy writing poems right up until 2 minutes before the show, not 5 minutes after. 2 minutes before the show, and I don't have time to get my mic going. Let's figure this out. Trey, help me out. You're the tech guy. You're the whiz. You are the whiz. But look, I'm gonna pause one device. I'm gonna pause my son's Xbox or PlayStation for 1 hour because I told him to turn it off. We'll see if I hear stomping over my head and someone swearing. Once he's in the middle of his game and he dies, that's it.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm gonna start just pausing everything. As long as I don't pause this computer, we're good. Listen, where are we going with this? So you know, we talked politics the last few weeks. We talked, it's episode 69. We mentioned it in the poem. 69, dude. Keanu Reeves. Last week we ended the show with Great Canadians. This week, we're going to start it with great Canadians, and it's not necessarily great Canadians. Like we're going to do, Sheldon has a segment that we want to do on great Canadian inventions. We're going to get there. What is
Tracy in the comments right now posting deals on Amazon to get you a new podcast mic, man. Hey, I'll tell you what, I've got the same mic as Chevy. These are good mics. I think it's that laptop. You got like a port thing going on there that it might have seen his last days, dude, because it's been growing the last few weeks.
Yeah,
but that said, back to it. Like I'm a couple years older than you. I can't remember how old I was when Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure came out. I was probably in grade 8 or grade 9, dude. That was like, or maybe younger. That was honestly, to me, one of the funniest movies that came out for our age group. And I don't know how many movies other than like at that time it was like Goonies and stuff like that was coming out, which were awesome, amazing movies. But there's something about Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure that just caught you. It's like, when your kids were young and they start getting into memes and like the stupidest YouTube videos you ever seen, like a guy that cooks pizza and he starts adding in, pepperoni and tomato sauce and microwave parts. And next thing you know, the whole kitchen's exploding. And it was just stupid, but the kids found it funny. For me, that's what Keanu Reeves and Bill and Ted was all about. It was stupidity designed for somebody my age.
It was good. I love that show. I saw that at the movie theater in Montreal, and it was one of my favorite comedies. It was just the whole concept, right? Like back in those days, like the whole time travel thing with Back to the Future. This was done differently, right? These two goofs that needed to ace their history final to pass. It was kind of in the light of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but it had that twist to it, that time travel twist. And the late great George Carlin was in it as Rufus, right? Oh, Rufus, most excellent. And I think everyone loved that movie. But when we go from that movie did we ever think that Keanu Reeves would, go from that point in time to where he is right now, where he's kind of revered as this stoic type figure of excellence in Hollywood? Like, people look at Keanu Reeves as this excellent guy that, he pets stray dogs, he gives money to homeless people, rides his motorcycle and picks people up. Like, everyone's got this Keanu Reeves is the greatest guy in the world story. And for a while, he was like the very talentless actor in Hollywood story. And then Matrix came out and his whole identity shifted. Like, am I the only one that saw that progression, or is that kind of what you feel his career did?
No, I mean, you're exactly right. Like, his whole thing was that, okay, you had to shorten his lines because he couldn't remember lines on scene. So they're all shot in like very short lines, multiple takes, and he just had to look there, like stand there, and like you said, look stoic. But it worked for him, which is crazy to me, because I'm not saying that there's a lot of great writing that went into Bill and Ted, but he could deliver comedy, right? His timing was bang on. He had his comedy was bang on, and he just had that look. But that look changed a lot, and I think he did do a lot of kind of dud movies and stuff. But he made a comeback probably around Speed or Point Break.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You mentioned some movies that were kind of like, well, he's like Keanu Reeves in a movie about surfing, and he's like Keanu Reeves in a movie about a bomb on a bus, and he's like Keanu Reeves with a girl in Dracula, and then all of a sudden, like, he did that Matrix movie, and the movie where he had very little lines made him like a star. And I think it was a combination of the movie, the graphics, and everything that surrounded the greatness of that movie kind of put him back on the map, like legit leading man. And then, he made one of my favorite movies, which is The Replacements. You talked about that when passed away.
You totally broke up there. You said, so then you see in the Matrix, and you suddenly seen him differently. Like, what was it? What was it about him in the Matrix that got you?
I think that Matrix movie itself was just so stylish, right? And he had the look, he always had that look, but it just, everything just fell into the right place in that movie. He looked like a guy that could learn Kung Fu. He's like, I know Kung Fu. And then all of a sudden he's doing Kung Fu and everything. Like, that movie for me was a pivotal moment in my, me, I love movies. And when I saw that opening scene in Matrix where they jump across the buildings, I was like, whoa, this is something different. And maybe it was the movie itself that lended to that. And then he just happened to be part of that wave. But it was such a big movie, and it made him such a big star that, his career, but he still made some duds. Johnny Mnemonic, Constantine is like, and
hold on 1 second. Constantine
go.
was an amazing movie based off of a comic book that you're a big comic book. So did you actually watch Constantine and you didn't like it?
No, I actually didn't watch it, but it didn't receive very good reviews.
Watch it. Actually, it's one of the most underrated. If we should have an episode sometime just on rewatchable movies.
Well, he wants to reprise that role. He wants to reprise that role. But he's made some great movies, and then just kind of over time, he's been this great. Like, I'm just kind of looking at his movies, and then he's kind of part of the pop culture thing, and then it really kind of jumped off the page into this kind of a younger audience of action stars, and that's when John Wick came out. When the first John Wick came out in the theaters, and I'm a movie theater guy, I was like, John Wick, what's this? I had no clue. It didn't really catch on with me. I remember one day I went to my gym in my garage back in the time, and I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna watch a movie while walking on my treadmill. This is the first time I ever do this. I'm gonna walk on a movie on my treadmill for like 3 hours, just watch a movie like that, see if I could do that. And I picked John Wick, and I was like, holy crap, this is a fun movie. And then I was blown away. I got it kind of on the second run, like when it was released on Netflix.
So let me throw this at you then. I think that's one of the things. You started talking about the Matrix, and you know why? And he couldn't deliver any long lines. He was just like, I want more, for more training. This guy threw himself into the roles. Like he wasn't a great actor, but he could deliver a line, right? And no different than a lot of guys in the 80s, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Steven Seagals, all the guys that were just, Arnold Schwarzenegger, that would just give the great one. He could deliver a line, but he also committed to the role. Have you ever gone back and watched any of the training montages of him preparing for John Wick?
I have not, but I know that he was intense about it.
It was intense. I've gone out and watched on YouTube all of his firearms training, his hand-to-hand combat training. This guy throws himself into roles, and it's so believable. So he was really, and as a Canadian, he was like sort of the Canadian acting icon of that time. But let me ask you this, and I know this is where we want to get to. There's another Canadian actor that came up big with a couple of franchises. Ryan Reynolds. So if we were to put these two guys head to head, you got Keanu versus Ryan Reynolds.
And then Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling. Do they equal one Keanu? Like where would you rank these guys?
For me, I would say that, and we're going to be talking about in the next segment, we're going to be talking about Ovechkin versus Sid Crosby. I think we got the same argument here. We got Keanu Reeves as the granddaddy of them all. Like, look, you got to think of the franchises he's been in. Just the 3 Matrix movies. And then you talk about the John Wick movies and just the body of work that he's done forever. Like, he's got to be the number one. He's got to be the GOAT of Canadian action stars.
Okay, is this going to surprise you, though? This is straight off of ChatGPT. Did you know that Keanu's films have grossed $5 billion?
Okay.
Ryan Reynolds has grossed $6 billion.
Oh, yeah, that would surprise me. That would surprise me. But you know what? Who was the Canadian motorcycle stunt guy toy? Duke Kaboom on Toy Story. It was Keanu Reeves. That was his ultimate cameo.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, Duke Kaboom. I think it was the French Canadian stuntman toy. But yeah, you know what? Ryan Reynolds is an up and coming number 2. I do like Ryan Gosling as well. He makes some good movies. Last year when we did our men's mental health movie night, we featured The Fall Guy featuring Ryan Gosling. And for me, even though it didn't do well in the theaters, that was a surprisingly good movie. Actually, I've watched 3 times. It was a great movie to me.
That's a movie that's going to pop up on a Sunday afternoon or Saturday afternoon, and if you got the time, you're just going to leave it on, just watch it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jamin says that Green Lantern was a terrible movie. Man, I refuse that. Like, Green Lantern was my favorite hero growing up. I thought Ryan Reynolds was a great Green Lantern. The movie wasn't the greatest. The villain wasn't the greatest. Whenever you have a superhero movie and you make the villain a big blob or a really ugly looking guy, the movie tanks, right? The villain has to look cooler than the hero. And any comic book, like Darth Vader, Star Wars is great because of Darth Vader. X-Men is great because of Magneto. Any movie or any story where the villain looks like a pimply faced professor, it doesn't work. But when we talk about those great Canadians and getting back to that, I would say Keanu Reeves, for those of you that don't know, is one of our greatest exports. And now he's starting to do some Canadian commercials. He's back on Rogers. When you watch hockey, he talks about the Rogers stuff. So they must be paying him some big money to be back in Canada. But mentioned the men's mental health movie night last year. Ryan Gosling, who is, I would say, our number 3 action star. He's made some good movies too, that Ryan Gosling, and I'm not ready to name them off, but Fall Guy was one of them. And we went back yesterday. Daryl, myself, Darcy Finley came and visited, Brandon, and obviously Hal Wolf from the Cochrane Movie House. And we are getting set for our next men's mental health movie night. And it's going to be bigger and it's going to be better. So for those of you listening, guys, we want you to keep your eyes and ears peeled to all our socials, because we're going to start putting up the Eventbrite invitations. We have a space for about 160 people. There's already about 40 seats spoken for before we've even set this out. So you're going to have to tell a friend. If you came here last year, it's going to be a great event.
Are we allowed? Are we allowed to release who the first speaker is going to be yet? Is that a thing, or do we have to still wait and see technically?
I think we still have to. Say, let's just say it'll be a representative, most likely. A very good percentage chance that it's going to be a representative of the Calgary Flames. organization. Let's just start with that.
Yeah.
We also are going to have Brett Gardner. Brett Gardner is going to be doing his men's mental health presentation, which is going to be fantastic. And he represents Chase the Good. And for those of you that don't know Brett Gardner, he's a Hall of Fame rodeo announcer. He's a sports performance coach. He's done so much, and he travels all around trying to help people with their mental health and giving them strategies to excel. And so this night, again, is for the men. It's going to be free. We're at the Cochrane Movie House. We got a poster up there. Trey, if you could put up the poster. The date, I believe, is May 22nd, if I'm not mistaken.
As he pulls it down.
As he pulls it down. Well, I got the new poster here. I don't know if Trey had added it to the slideshow.
Yeah. I think we're waiting on confirmation of the big guest. I think I'm telling my hot dog story that night too. Am I not?
Yeah. Well, we're going to be speaking. We're still figuring out what am I saying? The itinerary for the night. So we're doing it in 2 theaters because we're going to have double the capacity we had last year. So basically, both speakers, whoever's speaking is going to be speaking to 2 groups. He's going to be speaking to 2 groups. Yeah, Daryl did send an updated poster, and we do have that. Sorry, May 22nd, starting at 6 p.m. So May 22nd, starting at 6 p.m. There was an updated poster sent out today. But anyhow, it's going to be a fantastic night. We want to make sure that everyone listening tonight brings a friend, comes and shows up. It's a free night. There's going to be food. There's going to be prizes. There's going to be popcorn. And there's going to be a movie at the end of it. And that movie happens to be none other than Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning or Final Reckoning. Yeah. Final Reckoning. Dead Reckoning is the one you need to watch before, but it's going to be a great night. And I'm super, super excited as we got there yesterday, speaking to Hal, speaking to Daryl, and starting to just kind of visualize how we're going to set up the night. It's going to be fun. And also, if you have a business and you want to sponsor this, you know what? It's we're doing this night to give back to men. And we're doing it to entertain you, hopefully to inspire you, and hopefully to give you permission to feel and to speak about the things that bother you with other men. And that's what it was last year. We got such tremendous feedback. Some guys were, the cool thing about this, actually, Sheldon, before we go to break. So we hosted out in Cochrane, right? And, you got people driving from all over the place, guys coming with buddies. And the feedback that I got from some friends is that drive back was so impactful for them because some of the things that Brett said, some of the things that we mentioned, some of the things that went on in the night, they actually had a discussion on the ride home. So it's kind of apropos for the night that it's the ride. And we and our good friends at Performance Freight Management and the Men's Health Movement. There you go. Look at that. Look how quick Trey is. I just had to keep talking, and Trey could get that up there as quick as possible. That's why we're a great team. But there's a poster for the night. Like we said, we're going to have a special guest from the Calgary Flames organization, most likely coming to speak. And then you and I will have our part to play. And Brett Gardner will be there as well. Prizes, food, movies. What else, Sheldon?
That's about it, guys. Last one was a blast. It wasn't a tearjerker, but it was an emotional connection. You meet some amazing people from some amazing backgrounds, do some amazing jobs. I even met a guy I'd never met before that dated my cousin in North Battleford, Saskatchewan, way back in the day. So, guys, we'll get more details out here, but we want to see all you guys out there. Again, hey guys, thanks for joining us. We are just getting the show started, even though we're running a little bit late. We're going to take a quick break, grab a snack, grab a drink, and we'll catch you back here on the other side.
Okay, wait. If you guys are really us, what number are we thinking of? 69, dudes! Whoa. Look, we gotta go. Yeah, we gotta get back to the report.
Performance Freight Management is a global logistic freight shipping company that will handle the entire shipping process for any package to any country. Whether it be a simple truck shipment from your office to Toronto or your company importing generators from China, PFM Freight handles it all. We have the expertise and technology to handle any shipping requirements. Skip the guesswork and let us take the shipping pain off your plate.
want your business to be known. YYCCalgaryBusiness.ca is Calgary's only online media platform that gets you noticed. Short-form video content is rapidly taking over as the most effective way to engage your audience. Whether you're being interviewed on a vodcast, sharing a sizzle reel, or even hosting your own show, there is one place you can publicize your business. We want to tell your story and introduce you to our network of empowered business owners and leaders right here in Calgary. Isn't it time you took your digital game to 11? Call us or email us now.
You got it?
Yeah, I'll take this in. Hey guys, welcome back to segment 2 of the ride. I'm going to take 1 second here and give a shout out. I don't do this too often, but there's a guy here in Calgary that's got this great little side gig going where he finds decommissioned helmets and then he takes them back and he repaints them. He tracks down the logos. You didn't even notice it. Do you see what's sitting up there on the top of my stand? It's an Iowa State helmet. Jamin Daimler, listener to the show, reached out to me a month ago and says, "Hey, what was your favorite helmet at Iowa State?" I'm like, "I don't know. I think it was the Riddell." He's like, "No, dude, what was your favorite design?" And I'm like, "We had those kind of ugly yellow ones with the red cyclone writing on it. But my favorite ones were the ones where they have that throwback classic logo with the I and the state written across the front for the Brock Purdy days." And from way back before then, but
did you,
so special
did you get to wear those ones?
No, we had a couple that we wore, but and they were cool too, right? But I really like these throwbacks. So Adam Johnson, Jamin Daimler, thanks for setting me up on that. Really appreciate it. It looks good up there, right? Do you have a McGill helmet? Do you have a McGill helmet up on your stand or?
Yeah, so I thought the one over my shoulder the other day I was pointing to was my McGill helmet. I've got one that's a bit above me. Like if I lift my camera, I think it's at the top, and that's the one that I wore. I got a bunch of helmets up there. You remember how it was? You know, you had to buy your helmet every year. So I bought a bunch of them. I got an Edmonton one. I got a Sasky one.
Not in the NCAA, but
no, not in the NCAA. But just in Calgary. But I do have an Edmonton one, I have a Sask one, and I have my McGill helmet that I got after I graduated. And that one has all the decals. I think I mentioned that when I played at that East-West Shrine game.
Yeah.
And guys, just kind of on a different note, I'm going to apologize if my stuff is not working. I just, I'm doing my best, which means I'm turning on my computer and showing up, but I'm not too versed on the technical aspects. And when you have a house full of kids, but even when I don't have my kids, this happens. So I got to figure it out. I have good internet. I have good connections. I'm going to have to figure this out, but I hope you guys can hear me because we love hearing from you here on The Ride with Chevy and Nasty, brought to you each week by Performance Freight Management, We Drone Real Estate Media, and YYC Business. Please follow us at Chevy and Nasty. We're on all the socials. You can catch our episode tomorrow on the Download Audio podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. And we have an intrepid producer, Trey Smith, who you did a good job, Trey, with the background today. I noticed you changed it up. I appreciate that. Between Sheldon's helmets, Trey's background, we're always evolving. And we got some great comments. Before the break, Sheldon, you mentioned that at the last men's mental health movie night, you met a gentleman that dated your cousin. And, I was going to make a crack. And I was like, well, did you date your cousin? But I didn't have to because Cozy threw it up there pretty hard and fast. Cozy threw the fastball right down the middle.
Cozy knows exactly what I'm talking about. You're living in small town northern Saskatchewan. It's just the way it rolls. But I will dispel all those rumors right now. I did not date my cousin.
But you threw that one right down the middle, and Cozy knocked it out of the park.
Knocked it out of the park. Come on, Cozy.
Speaking of knocking it out of the park, this past weekend, Major League Baseball saw was this the coming out party for the Torpedo Bats? Because normally we don't talk much baseball. We'll rely on Trey for a little bit of inside knowledge. Bruno will come on and talk to us about the Yankees. But, you have to be hiding under a rock if you didn't hear about this Torpedo Bat. And usually I turn my phone off when I'm in Red Deer, so I don't hear too much. But the Torpedo Bats were making a big splash after the Yankees had a record break. It was a 15-run opening weekend against the Brewers. where, I guess these new designed bats, which happen to fall within league regulations for bats. They were designed by a former Yankees coach. I believe I don't have his name.
What didn't have something to do with Harvard? Like, didn't they get like physicists and
he was an MIT guy. It was Aaron
MIT.
Leonard. Aaron Leonard. He's a former Yankees analyst, but he also PhD from I believe it's MIT, and he designed these bats, and he just distributed the fat part of the bat to be where the contact's made with the ball, and I guess it's juicing the bat like a corked baseball bat because guys are crushing him. Now, I believe Aaron Judge hit 4 homers this weekend, including a grand slam, but I don't think he was using the bat. He's still not down with the bat, but a lot of guys around the league are starting to adopt it, and I think it's causing a little bit of fear, Sheldon. There's the purists that want it banned. And of course, there's the innovators that say, hey, this is just the next step in evolution. Where would you sit when there's something that could produce this much of a change?
Well, I think this is right up there with, because baseball doesn't change. I mean, it's been 100+ years of absolutely the same thing. They're the most resistant to change. This has got to be the biggest thing since, like, maybe not batters' helmets, but where you have to wear a helmet when you run the bases.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a fundamental change to the apparatus that is baseball. And I'm kind of surprised by it. Now, let me ask you a question, though, because I saw the headlines. I haven't followed it that closely. I've meant to. Was this something the Yankees brought out, or was this something that the league brought out? Like,
well,
can you have one team just innovate like that in a league? Like, how does that work?
Well, and that's I didn't do a ton of research on this, but that's exactly what's going on here. Is the Yankees, they got so much money, right? And their coach was mentioning it today, and their manager was saying, yeah, like, this is what we do. We innovate. We invest in innovation to better our players, from things to help them health wise to equipment improvements. And again, it's within the rules. What they did is something super innovative, and it's working for a bunch of guys. And now it's spreading around the league. Like, well, I was reading an article, and they're saying, yeah, like, one of the guys is like, yeah, when I go around the bases and I'm at first base, guys are asking me about it, and it's going around the league, and guys are talking, and guys are starting.
Well, you know how that works. As soon as you have a success with something, everybody's going to try it. It'd be like in football, if a receiver came out with a new pair of shoes that increases vertical.
Yeah.
Like to me, this is almost something, because it's so unstandard and so out there. It's got the potential to change the game, unless they just had, the psychological factor of it, and because you still got to make contact with a ball, and for every improvement you make, is there also like detriments? Are you gonna pop up more often, or like it's got to be so hard in baseball to make contact with the sweet spot of the bat when you have so many different pitches coming from you. Is this just a hot streak? Is this something in like 2 months from now it just kind of levels out?
Yeah, I don't think this is something that, it's like my kids play hockey, right? And I has talked with them once where,
well, is this as big as a composite stick?
Well, but that's what I'm saying. If you allow me just to kind of rant for a bit, I'm a pretty frugal guy, and one day my kids, they want a $400 stick. And, I'm like, you guys don't need a $400, but Dad, the shot, the blah, blah. And my guys, listen, I'm going to use Johnny Gaudreau. God bless his soul. I said, Johnny Gaudreau, nuts. And he did this much practice, and he does this much stuff, and all the stuff that he puts together. Once you add that $400 stick to the end chain of everything he does, or Connor McDavid, pick your athlete, that's when that makes a difference. I don't think at the lower levels a bat like this is going to make a difference. Yeah, maybe the once in a while you make contact on that sweet spot, but these guys in the major leagues, they are hitting consistently. They're making that contact. And when they do make that contact, this is going to be a difference between a double, an infield single, and a homer. And it's going to have that impact. And the thing that Major Baseball is going to have to manage is this the change we want? And it's no different than, golf clubs. It's no different than, like you said, hockey sticks. It's no different than Formula One machines, creating different designs for their car and then everyone trying to keep up the following year. It happens in all sports. Doesn't seem to happen in baseball. The purists, they get so up in arms. Yeah, I get it when all the guys jump into Balco and taking the steroids like Barry Bonds and not Barry Bonds, never came out, but Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa, and then everyone was getting caught with that stuff. That's different. But this is within the rules. Now, if they change the rules, I guess it changes. But then it's the debate is like, well, do you want to see evolution in a game? Because you know what? I know Bruno loves baseball, and some guys love baseball. I'm not too into it. But if I'm going to see a bunch of home runs in the game, I like hearing the crack of a bat. I was training at the baseball dome in Calgary the other day with a long snapper, and all the UFC baseball team was training around us. And every time one of those kids just hit sweet spot in the bat, you could hear it. I love that sound. I used to go watch Expos games. You pray for that sound. And if you're getting it, 5 more times a game than you did before, I think that's a good thing for the game. I know that's where I stand. You're going to have guys that are going to be greater players than the old greats. And, people are going to, well, how do you quantify that? How do you qualify that? I don't know. But games evolve. Football's evolved. Look, there's no more kickoffs in football. That means there's no more kickoff touchdowns. Or there's a different kickoff. There's very rarely kickoff touchdowns. Hockey's changed. Overtime rules have changed. Goalies' pads have gone bigger and then have gone smaller.
And they wear helmets now.
And they wear helmets now. So records are meant to be broken. And maybe this is a way some records are going to be broken in baseball, Sheldon. I don't know. What are the comments saying? Bruno says if Judge gets to use 2 types back at the same time in the World Series, he'll strike out twice at a time. Bruno seems a little disappointed. I guess the Yankees must have lost today. Yeah. But when you talk about breaking records, Sheldon, great segue into the next segment. We have a man on the ice that's about to break a record of the great one, namely Alex Ovechkin. I think is he 5 goals away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's all-time goals record at I think Gretzky at 894.
4.
Well, 4 to tie it, right? 5 to break, or am I wrong? So I said break the record. I thought 4 to tie it, but
he scored tonight. He scored tonight. 4 to break it.
So 4 to break Wayne Gretzky's record of goals. And I mean, Ovechkin's proven over the last 20 years that he's one of the greatest goal scorers in the game. I don't even think there's a doubt, right? Yeah. And so, we talked about that debate when we talked about Keanu Reeves and the 2 Ryans. Like, Keanu's the number 1 guy, and we talked about it a couple weeks ago in hockey. The number 1 guy is always going to be Wayne. Even though Mario could have been in the conversation, Wayne is number 1. But over the last 20 years, between Ovechkin, who's about to break Wayne Gretzky's goal scoring record, and Sidney Crosby, these guys have been linked over time, just like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, Kobe and LeBron. Who's your number 1? Like, who's your next one, Sheldon? Is it the Kid or is it Alex the Great? I mean, look at the numbers here.
And for this, it kind of takes me back to, I don't know if you remember baseball in the early 2000s when I got a chance I was rewarded. We had an amazing year and I got rewarded to a trip to New York, the last year of the old Yankee Stadium, to watch the Yankees play. And I got to go with a true Yankees fan. And what he said to me is, A-Rod is the greatest player in baseball, but he's not the greatest Yankee. That was Derek Jeter. And for me, it's kind of the same thing. Like, I'll tell you what, my mind is absolutely blown because we're having this conversation today. But honestly, when this started coming up about 3 years ago, when you're watching that chase, did you really think he's going to be able to do it? No, because every player of 35, 36, they're going to start tailing off. And those 60-goal seasons, 50-goal seasons are going to turn into like 17, 9. A guy just can't keep it up. So for me, I won't say that he's not Sidney Crosby. He is not Captain Canada. He is not the face of the league. He's not the best player in the NHL, but he is the most prolific goal scorer the world's ever seen. Do you know what it takes to break Wayne Gretzky's record? Do you understand what we're seeing here right now? And he's doing this. And yes, it took him longer because the game's changed. there'll never be another great one. But he's doing it at what is he right now? 39, having 40 goal seasons at 39 years old. There's something about this guy that just doesn't make sense. The logic breaks down. Physics just turns into bizarro world. I honestly, if you asked me this 3 years ago, I thought it was just going to be a sad trail off ending. And so, yeah, I'm excited about it. Does it make him the greatest player of all time? I don't think so, but this is crazy, Chev.
Yeah,
So where does he stand? Let me go back to you. Where does he stand in terms of the great ones? Does he pass Mario Lemieux?
Gosh, I don't know. Hard for me to say he passes Mario Lemieux because, again, we talked about Jaromir Jagr last week on episode 68. I still think Wayne is number one. I'm going to say Sid is number two. I'm going to say Jagr is number three. I'm going to say Ovechkin is number four, and Mario is number five. And that's me in my era of watching. How would you classify? I mean, I can't talk about Gordie Howe, and I can't talk about the Rocket. It would be like saying, after these torpedo bats come out, guys are hitting 100 home run seasons, and you're trying to pick between this era of guys and guys that hit 40 homers.
Yeah.
It's a different era, right? Like the guys are bigger, stronger now. The training's different. The sticks are different. How many of Ovi's goals come because he uses a stick that's helps him that extra little edge? I don't know, but I'm saying but in the era that I've watched from when I grew up as a little kid, the greats and guys that I've loved, and I mean, every guy I named, there's not a guy that I'm a big fan of. I mean, like, I acknowledge, I respect them. They're the greatest, but I was a Montreal Canadiens fan. None of those guys played for my team. Sorry, and I forgot to mention Connor McDavid. Jeez, he hasn't even finished.
He's not there. He's not there yet.
But we don't know where he's going to finish. But if I'm talking about right now, the body of work, the guys that are in this conversation from, let's say, the 80s and to where we are now, Wayne is number one. Like I said, I think Sid and Jagr, 2 and 3 are probably, I don't know who's, and then like I said, you got Mario and Ovi. That's like there's a cluster there.
Yeah, but it's just great. It's crazy to me because I haven't even thought about this because I don't live and breathe hockey, but in my mind, Sid the Kid hasn't even passed Mario yet. But for me, it just occurred to me that I guess he has.
Yeah,
I guess he has. But let me throw another name into this mess too, because again, Ovechkin is just a crazy prolific goal scorer. But now let's start talking about the best captains. Where does Mark Messier fit into that mix with Sid the Kid and guys like that? Are we forgetting some other names from the past that are maybe not as creative goal scorers? But for me, Sid the Kid, it wasn't just the goals; it was the points. Is the way he could transcend the game, and he just made everybody on the ice better. Most competitive guy you could ever play against. Isn't Mark Messier up in that conversation too?
Yeah, I'd agree. He's up there. I don't have his point totals. That's a trade job, but I think that's a great question because there's some guys like that and then how do you classify defensemen, right? Like there was a point where you could say Bobby Orr was one of the greatest hockey players ever, and no one would debate you. They'd say, well, it's Gordie Howe and Bobby Orr, right? And you look at guys like, there you go, Trey's saying Nicholas from Bobby Orr, both Hulls. Goalies, right? Let's keep goalies out of this conversation because they're kind of a separate skill set. But you look at defensemen. How do you qualify defensemen? Just because they're not up there scoring goals, but they're doing what they're supposed to do, and that's keep goals out, right? And when you got guys like we mentioned Bobby Orr, Ray Bourque, some of the Chris Chelios, some of the great Nick Lidstrom, some of the great defensemen out there. How do you qualify them? And I guess it's kind of like hockey, the forward. The Sidney Crosby, the Wayne Gretzky, the Connor McDavid. To me, those three guys are the generational players of their generations in the last, 40 years. Gretzky, Crosby, and now Connor McDavid. It's like the quarterbacks of the team. Yeah, you have some great players on those Patriots teams, on those Chiefs teams, on those old 49ers teams, but for the non-fans, the ones they remember is Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. And when you talk about hockey, we know all the little intricacies, but someone who lives in a country where they don't follow hockey, they know Wayne Gretzky. They know Sidney Crosby. They know Ovechkin. They know Connor McDavid. They might not know Mario Lemieux because he didn't play enough. They might not know Jaromir Jagr. So even that makes me rethink. We talked about it last week with the CFL comments of Ed Hervey saying there's no stars. Well, if you think about people who don't watch the CFL, you'd be like, there's a few names, but there's not enough. That, Doug Flutie would be the most recognizable name. And the last time he played in the CFL was like 92 or whatever it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when I think about hockey, maybe you got to think of it from that perspective. I mean, we're thinking about from the perspective of Ovechkin versus Sidney Crosby, points per points and stats for stats. Yeah, I would say right now, to me, Sidney's still a better player, but Ovechkin's a real impressive athlete chasing a real impressive goal.
If you're building a team, I think I'd build it around a Sidney Crosby. If I needed a sniper, a difference maker is Ovi. And again, it just doesn't even compute to me that he's doing it at the age he is, performing 40-goal season. Is ridiculous. Chev, I'll tell you what, great conversation. I think we want to get a little bit more into this segment, but we are running a little bit tight in time. So, guys, what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break again. So, again, refresh that drink, grab another snack, not too much so. Maybe keep it keto so you're not regretting it when you step on the scale in the morning. But when we come back, we're going to bring back a little bit of studs and duds and maybe a lighter topic to wrap it up on. Guys, we appreciate you. We'll see you on the other side.
Performance Freight Management is a global logistic freight shipping company that will handle the entire shipping process for any package to any country. Whether it be a simple truck shipment from your office to Toronto or your company importing generators from China, PFM Freight handles it all. We have the expertise and technology to handle any shipping requirements. Skip the guesswork and let us take the shipping pain off your plate.
Do you want your business to be known? YYCCalgaryBusiness.ca is Calgary's only online media platform that gets you noticed. Short-form video content is rapidly taking over as the most effective way to engage your audience. Whether you're being interviewed on a vodcast, sharing a sizzle reel, or even hosting your own show, there is one place you can publicize your business. We want to tell your story and introduce you to our network of empowered business owners and leaders right here in Calgary. Isn't it time you took your digital game to 11? Call us or email us now.
Welcome back to the ride. Sheldon's just pulling in here. He's admiring his brand new helmet. We're brought to you each week by Performance Freight Management, We Drone Real Estate Media, and YYC Business. This is a fun show. It's one of those where, busy night, get back from kids' practice, find out my son doesn't have a bus pass, got to run home, got to write a poem, and I'm just struggling to get it in. I knew what the show was going to be. We had it prepped, and boom, here we are, the third segment, a little bit over time, but man, it was good discussion, good comments from everyone. Yeah, Rob Evans has a point. Warren Moon was a recognized star, but I'm talking about the last recognized superstar from the CFL might have been Doug Flutie. Little bit of sad news, as I saw in the comments, and I wasn't aware. Val Kilmer, the Iceman, passed away. Is this about an hour ago the news broke at 65 years old? So yeah,
that's something. I guess you heard rumblings. They kind of kept it private. It was out there, but it wasn't talked about a lot. But even in Top Gun Maverick, I mean, that wasn't an act. He was in rough shape even back then, I guess.
Oh, so. And that was a real touching scene. Like, I think when we talked about that movie, we talked about that movie, and there goes, great job, Trey, bringing that up, sharing your screen with us. But we talked about Top Gun Maverick, and sort of, I never was a big Top Gun, like it wasn't my favorite movie, but that movie, the second one, Top Gun Maverick, was one of my favorites. And part of it was sort of the reconciliation of some of the relationships there, especially between Maverick and Iceman. Hey, good night. AC Sports Live joining us. Thanks for joining us, man. But yeah, we're just talking about Val Kilmer passing away. Made some great movies. Obviously, we talked about Top Gun.
Do you have one that stands out to you? Like, do you have a favorite role that he played?
I'm just looking through because I want to make sure I didn't miss any. Of course,
I'll say.
Go ahead.
I'll say mine while you're looking. There's this movie that I don't know how many people even saw. It was called The Saint, where he was sort of an undercover kind of spy guy, and all his costumes and all that stuff. There goes the Huckleberry. Yeah, the Huckleberry. Yep. I'll be your Huckleberry. That was probably which movie was that again?
Tombstone.
Tombstone. That's probably my favorite. Talking about rewatchable movies. I'll watch that every time it comes on.
Doc Holliday against Johnny Ringo.
Jamie agrees. The Saint was amazing.
Saint was a great movie. He was in Batman Forever. Didn't like him too much in Batman. Loved him in Heat. In Heat, he was great. I mean, he was surrounded by, that was an ensemble cast with De Niro and Pacino, and he was right in there. There was this great movie I really enjoyed. It was with Michael Douglas, The Ghost and the Darkness. And it was about these two lions. The lions, the killer. Yeah, that was pretty sweet. But he kind of fell off for a while. Of course, he made his name as Jim Morrison in The Doors. That was like his big role. And then many roles, but then he kind of fell off for a number of years. And I don't know if it was because he was having some health concerns, but he just, like I said, he made a lot of B-type movies in the last little while. It just kind of fell off the map. But yeah, he definitely made some good ones, was a good actor.
MacGruber. And, have you seen MacGruber? Sound off in the comments, guys. Has anybody seen MacGruber?
Yeah,
it's a spin-off from MacGyver. Have you seen it?
So good. Yeah, I love MacGruber. It was hilarious. But I think I love that role in Top Gun Maverick. So rest in peace, Val Kilmer. Hope we paid you a little tribute. Kind of sad news. But let's not end on that. Let's make sure we do our studs and duds because we always do it in the third segment. Trey, hit us.
Studs and duds.
Yeah.
Who you got for your stud this week?
Oh, my stud. You know what? This is something that just a couple of days ago, I was scrolling through Facebook and it pops up on my feed. And these guys are talking about going to the KFC buffet. Dude, I didn't even know that was a thing. But apparently in Saskatchewan, if you go to Weyburn, Saskatchewan, they've kept this thing going for the last 40, 50 years. I don't know if it's just on Sundays. And I was looking at Trey's, not only is just a chicken, but they have it all set up with the size. You can pick your coleslaw, your potato salad, and of course, the fries and infamous KFC gravy.
Oh my goodness.
I'll tell you what, like when I grew up in Saskatchewan, we knew the country laughed at us as being behind the times and being old school. But the fact of the matter is just because we didn't change time zones before not changing time zones was cool. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We had Pizza Hut where not just buffets where they bring it out to you on the tray. KFC buffets, dude, is like the coolest thing ever. In fact, I told Trey before the show, we've got to go talk to these guys. I think this one I saw was in Saskatoon, but the one in Weyburn, Rob Evans, we need to take a Chevy and Nasty road trip to go hit the Dirty Bird buffet. Dude,
we should show up in a bus. We should just pull up in a bus. Weyburn, Saskatchewan. We mentioned the first segment, Brett Jones. We should call Brett Jones and have him do a food report from the all-you-can-eat KFC buffet. I love this stuff. I didn't know that this existed. I remember when there was the Pizza Hut all-you-can-eat buffet, and when the last one shut down in Calgary, I was sad. It shut down during COVID.
In North Battleford, they used to actually bring, but that's another episode maybe, but they not just a buffet. They used to bring fresh baked pizza, and the girls would just walk around with pan pizzas, and they would cut it fresh off the za, and it was like amazing.
Good.
But the Dirty Bird, I didn't even know this was a thing. I grew up, we never had it in North Battleford, I don't believe, but I am heading back to Saskatchewan to check this out.
That's a good one. I love that stud. My stud this week. Now you guys know me. I sit in the middle. I call him like I see him, and not my favorite person in the world is the Donald El Trumpo. He's not my favorite, But if he makes a good move, I'm going to call him on it. And my stud this week is of his many respawning presidential edicts, executive orders. This one caught my attention. An executive order to end price gouging. Tickets for sporting events and concerts. He signed it. Look, there's Kid Rock wearing a very respectful outfit in the White House with the Donald.
More respectful than Zelensky wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah, Zelensky was only wearing like a war shirt or something. But you know what? Forget about the optics. I like this. You know what? A couple of months ago, I talked to you about my experience of trying to get Morgan Wallen tickets in Edmonton. I was right there when they were $100. I got kicked out of the app. By the time I got back in 20 minutes later, those same tickets were over $300 because people were already reselling them. And I think that's wrong. I think it's dirty. I felt cheated. And if this presidential executive order stems that so everyday people can afford to go concerts and get tickets for concerts, then that's a great one. Because you know what? All those little kids, little girls having their parents having to shell out thousands of dollars to go see Taylor Swift that they'll never get to see because the everyday people can't even afford that unless you're rich. I think this is a great move. So my stud this week, if Donald Trump, as my kids say, his executive orders respawn like when you play Halo and you get killed. If this one works, I like this one. So this is a stud for me.
Yeah, I love it. Last thing on that too. I think it was Kid Rock that said it today. He says even the artists are tired of setting a price so that their fans can come and watch them, and instead somebody else is just taking it, profiting off of it, and just going to the high paid people, not the people they want in attendance. If they can do something that gets their fans at the grassroots level back in the stands, that's amazing. Yeah, good job, El Chapo, for sure.
Yeah, and good job, Kid Rock. Everyone hates him these days. Give him a little more props on that because
I love Kid Rock, dude.
I love Kid Rock too, but a lot of people don't. Let's go to your dud this week. Who's your dud?
My dud. Oh, I don't even know where to take this. I don't even have a graphic for it. There's so many duds right now because I'm a political guy. You know what my dud is this week, though? Again, I am going to take it a little bit political. Everybody's talking about Trump's tariffs, and a Team Canada approach. Guys, Trump is not a Canadian. He does not live in Canada. He is not the prime minister. He is not our leader. He's doing things that are very much against our auto and steel sectors. But let's not pretend that Canada's job is to take care of Canada. I keep hearing elbows up, but the only approach we seem to have is, well, if he gives us tariffs, let's tariff things back. Chev, what's the number one thing that's been bugging us for the last couple of years? How expensive everything is getting. You can't take your kids to McDonald's without spending $15 a kid.
Yeah.
Right. And we're talking about how Trump's tariffs are going to make life more expensive. It's not Trump's tariffs. He's going to screw over our auto industry, no doubt. But it's our counter tariffs that are supposed to go in tomorrow. As we don't pay for Trump's tariffs, we pay for Carney's tariffs. And right now we're about to tariff American produce, American food, all these American products that are just going to make Canadians' lives matter. Stop trying to compete with the United States. Stop trying to compete with the number one biggest economy in the world. And let's just do things like build pipelines, create jobs, incentivize companies to produce so that Canada can start winning again. It's like trying to get Philly to stop the tush push instead of just coming up with an offense where you don't have to rely on, third and short defense the whole night long. I'm just getting a little bit tired of the rhetoric out there. I want people to start turning the focus back on to this great Canadian country, which we were once a great Canadian country. Believe it or not, 15 years ago, Canada's dollar was bigger than the Americans. I want to get back to that.
Yeah, fair enough. So who's your dud?
My dud are people that are focusing on the U.S. instead of focusing on our own game. When you play professional sports, whether it was from college right up to the pros, you didn't worry about what the other guys were doing. You worried about what you were doing.
Execute at the highest level.
At the highest level. And right now, everybody's just getting all giddy, running around in circles, pointing fingers at the bad guys.
You know what?
The truth of the matter is, you know who does that? People who suck. And right now, we suck. We need to focus on ourselves and picking up our own game.
Man, crazy that you bring that up. Like, if we could go on for another hour, I'd go on a tangent about our 2012 Grey Cup, how we showed up and we thought Coach Jones was hiding in the rafters at Sky Dome, and we were so focused on them cheating and them this that we
change terminology, change signals, change
don't practice your plays. Let's create a whole bunch of dummy plays so that he doesn't know what we're doing for real. And we got in our own heads. We didn't execute on game day and we got destroyed. So let's hope we don't get destroyed. But that was a great way of putting that. When you put it like that, made me understand. So I appreciate your dud. My dud this week. So I mentioned, Trump with the tickets, and I mentioned the Morgan Wallen concert that I tried to go to. Well, Morgan Wallen was on Saturday Night Live this week. And right after the show, you see it there during the credits, he kind of walked off the stage and went off. And then later on, he was at his private jet, and he wrote, "Get me to God's country." So a lot of people online read into this. The really extreme left-wingers read this as, well, Morgan Wallen couldn't stand being on a diverse set with characters that were multiracial and multi-gendered and the jokes. So they said, and then they started bringing up, his past criminal record, where he got busted for a DUI and some of the other stuff. And then they said, they pointed him to the ultimate redneck. And then the people on the extreme right talked about, well, yeah, he just couldn't wait to get out of there because, all these different things, right? And they both used him as the champion for.
I heard that. So
cause.
what was it? Because I heard that it was a complete double bird to America or to the show. What was it?
Well, it wasn't, because they said he watched the whole show, even during the week, during the rehearsals. He was fine. What happened is, generally after the credits, everyone kind of mingles like the people are doing in the background, even the musical guests. But during the week when they were rehearsing, he would walk off stage and then it would start again. And so he just did what he did during the rehearsals. And the reference to God's country, and I'm on his mailing list today, he's got a whole line of hats, a whole line of hats that are called God's country or Get Me to God's country, something like that. So they might not even have been related. So my dud is how people take one instance and they try to make it the champion for their crappy, extreme, stupid, judgmental cause, which is what we talked about last week when we were talking about elections and what social media is doing for people. Listen,
and
the
on
guy walked up.
Both sides took that and used that for
Yes.
their own. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
and all he was just trying to sell some merch.
He was trying to get off stage and go have a drink. And he didn't realize, oh, crap. Like, have you ever gone to the locker room after a game and realized, oh, shoot, we were supposed to be out there shaking hands with the fans or doing something, and you forgot because every time you go to the locker room. And so people took it out of context, overreacted. Even Saturday Night Live said Morgan Wallen is welcome back on the show anytime he wants to be. And that's how it ended. But so my dad is people overreacting. And then, like you said, they take things, they champion a cause that's not there. So we did our studs and duds. We're almost done. You said you wanted to end it off later. I'm going to end it off like, look at this. Look at this, Sheldon. You've had your cat on the show once about, look at this little.
Oh my God. Dude, that's real. What is it? Is that a fox? What is that? A fox?
Oh, that's Callie. So Brittany she's gone to cheer nationals with her daughter in Niagara. So I get to watch Callie, and I had two dogs. I had two dogs, and I had them for a long time. Zeus and Rogue. They were they were like my kids, and they passed away. One in 2017, one in 2018, and I haven't had a dog for a long time. And it's hard to open my heart to a dog. Like my kids, they got a dog with their mom, and it's hard for me to open my house to that. And then even when Brittany wanted the dog, I was like, I can't do it. I made all number of excuses, but man, I am a suck for this little pup.
Well,
look at that.
What's her name? Callie?
Yeah,
you've been holding her under the desk for like the last hour, dude. That's amazing.
No, the last segment. I picked her up. She's so cute.
As one of your great coaches once said, I think that's a good one to end on. So, Chevy, thanks for bringing Callie to the show. Because honestly, I can't see that without my blood pressure going down and me just want to go out there and snuggle with my cat. The difference with cats is the cats are secretly hate you and are trying to connive ways of killing you. But Callie is just lifting me up. Chev, that's amazing. Folks, guys, thanks again for joining us tonight. You never know where this ride's going to take us, so I hope you guys enjoyed this one tonight. Once again, you can find this episode tomorrow on anywhere that you find your podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, anywhere you find your podcast. Thanks for joining us tonight, guys. We promise you this. We will be back next week, bringing you whatever happens new in our lives and in your lives. If you're talking about it, we'll be talking about it next week. Thanks again for joining us on The Ride.
New truck, big lift, old roads, we been tearing up since way back when. But these wheels are innocent. New hitch, new seats, no hit story, and you just can't fake that. So let's change that, girl. Let's go put some miles on it. Back of the Chevy with the engine running. Just you and me in a truck bed wide like a California king. We could break it in if you know what I mean. Put some miles on it. Back of the Chevy with the engine running. Just you and me in a truck